prior to that time, beginning literally, brother, from the 7th century BC, Israel suffered a succession of 5 captivities, beginning with the northern kingdom being taken into Assyria, and then approximately 200 years later, within the 586/587 BC, or 587 coming down /586 BC, the Babylonians came and conquered and sacked Jerusalem, the southern kingdom. Now, after Babylon had did that, the Persian and Mede Empire came and took down the Babylonians and annexed all of those territories. And like I said, the Jews that were captives under the Babylonians became captives under the Medes. And then later on, between 333 and 331 BC, Alexander the Great led the Greeks to conquer the Persian Empire and therefore annexed all of its territories, and Israel passed from being the captives of the Persian and Mede Empire to being the captive of the Grecian Empire. And then after that, in approximately 65 BC, under the Roman general Pompey, Jerusalem was captured and became a Roman province. So we passed from being Greek captives to being captives of the Romans. So during all of this, during the 700 years of successions of captivities, Israel was being scattered all abroad the known world. So the dominant culture that was imposed upon Israel at the time of Christ and at the time of the apostles and the writings of Paul, the Israelites had been, but we went through a process that was called Hellenization. So when it says the Greeks or Gentiles, it's talking about the Israelites that were scattered among all the other nations, and with time, through conquest, had come to do what? Speak Babylonian, speak Assyrian, speak Persian, speak Greek, speak Roman, adopt their cultures, dress their way, just like the blacks and Hispanics in America. You weren't no Hispanics, you weren't no Negroes. Those are the titles that were given to you. So we're going to get a couple of scriptures on this, and then we're going to continue with this as time goes on, because we're already almost at the end of this tape. Listen, one of the things we're going to get first is we're going to go to Deuteronomy. We're going to set it up right. So if it said Greeks and Gentiles, let's do this first. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 64, and we're going to read where the Most High prophesied this would happen as a result of our disobedience. Read on down.
Deuteronomy 28 verse 64.
Once you take your time, read a little more, slower, and then out loud. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 64.
Uh-huh.
And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people.
Listen to this. This was a prophecy that the Most High had Moses give to us. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all peoples. Go ahead, read it again from the top.
And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth.
From the one end of the earth.
Even unto the other.
Now, what end of the earth were we on at that point? We were on the western hemisphere. So at that point we were on the eastern hemisphere. We were in Israel. So the Most High already had scattered. Let's take a little trip to the map again. We're going to have to go back in time before this is where Israel settled. Now all of these colors, is it a good angle? All of these colors represent the various captivities that we went into. So when you look at the blue, all the blue superimposed with green was when the Babylonians came, so when the Assyrians conquered. Those were all the places we were scattered to. And then the yellow represents the Babylonians. Alright, they came and conquered the Persians and the Medes. And then, they came and conquered the Assyrians, and then that's what we were scattered to. And then when it says the Persian Empire ran all the way up into Western Europe, up into Macedonia. The only places where they really couldn't get to was Greece, Sparta, Athens. Those places held out and ended up being led by Alexander, taking over the entire empire. But when you look at this entire, today this is considered India. We were scattered from the Persians scattered us from as far east as India to as far west as Macedonia, and then as far south and north, as far south and southwest as Egypt and Libya, which back then it was called Cyrene, and that's in the book of Acts chapter 2. So what you're finding out is when it says, "And the Lord shall scatter thee to the one earth, even to the other," this was just the known world. That didn't even went in. That was all still the Eastern Hemisphere. Then in the 1600s, beginning with the 1400s and the Portuguese, we were taken out of the continent of Africa after having fled there, and we were taken all the way to the Western Hemisphere. And that's another set of maps that I got to bring here. But we were taken from the Eastern Hemisphere to the Western Hemisphere. So when it says, read that verse again.
Verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth, even unto the other.
Go ahead.
And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known.
And there, in those other lands, thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. In other words, that's why we sit up and teaching the Bible, trying to teach the truth to our people, because we got scattered in all this kingdom during the transatlantic slave trade more recently, and they taught us all these religions. They used this very same source and taught you something that's not even in it. Most of the people got taught Catholicism. You know, when you deal with Latin America, the conquest that Spain did, that France did, and that Portugal did, and that Holland did, you got a whole lot. All these nations dropped religion on these people to keep them mentally and spiritually enslaved. Okay? Now where are we going? Do you know what? I'm going to show you. The next one after that was Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 64. You're going to go to Hosea chapter 8 and verse 8. Because Hosea was a prophet that was sent to prophesy against the northern kingdom. So you're going to find out with the book of Hosea, that prophecy in Deuteronomy had already began to be fulfilled about us being scattered. Read that again. I'll read it.
Hosea chapter 8 verse 8. Israel is swallowed up.
Listen, he said Israel is swallowed up. When you swallow something, it's saying we've been consumed. Go ahead.
Now shall they be among the Gentiles.
Now shall they what?
Be among the Gentiles.
Be among the Gentiles. Go ahead.
As a vessel wherein is no pleasure.
As a vessel wherein is no pleasure. In other words, the Most High prophesied in the book of Deuteronomy through Moses that if we didn't obey, he would scatter us into all kingdoms. Hosea saw that by the time he was there, we were already swallowed up by the Gentiles. And now the Most High had Amos make a prophecy concerning us being among the Gentiles. Go ahead.
Amos chapter 9 verse 9.
Go ahead.
For lo, I will command.
Listen to this. For lo, I will command, continue.
And I will sift the house of Israel among all nations.
Like a sifter, like a colander, like a strainer. He said he's going to sift the house of Israel among all nations. In other words, we're scattered among all nations, and he's going to go and retrieve us. Go ahead.
Like as corn is sifted in a sieve.
Like as corn is sifted in a sieve. In other words, you want to get corn off the ground or in some river, you go and whatever substance it is you're trying to get, you have enough holes in it for all the stuff that you don't want to fall through. So he's going to get Israel out, all the other the country that we've been in, and he's going to have all the other nations fall through. Go ahead.
Like as corn is sifted in a sieve, yet shall not the least grain fall upon the earth.
Yet shall not the least grain fall upon earth. Read that again, because that's going to be the end of the second part. Go ahead.
Okay, verse 9 again. For lo, I will command, and I will sift the house of Israel among all nations.
And I will sift the house of Israel among all nations. Why would the Lord sift us from among all nations? Simple. Because he sent us there. He scattered us among all nations. So like I said, we laid down the foundation and we gave you those controversial or those misunderstood scriptures. Now we're going to come back and lay the foundation for perfect understanding of what those misunderstood scriptures are really saying. So with that, we're going to close out this second part, and we'll be coming back to you with part 3 of who Christ died for. Okay? And it's only the Israel, that Christ only came for the nation of Israel, and we're considered Gentiles today because we're scattered through all countries, and we have adopted or have had imposed upon us those identities. We didn't come here calling ourselves Negroes. So with that, shalom, brother. We'll be back to you in a couple of minutes.
Shalom.